Okay, everybody, hello and welcome back to Wesley the Writer. On today's episode, it's going to be a little bit of a personal one. I had a lot of run ins with the art form. I spent a lot of time recording back in my 20s, and for the most part, I ended up enjoying it, and I think that's the reason why I've continued to stick within the medium of podcasting. When I was doing podcasting before, I felt like I was able to express who I was without having to write an entire screenplay in order to get some philosophical argument across the table. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the short form, having discussions, and working with a diverse team with different mindsets and different cultural experiences. And it was good for a time. I put a lot of my energy into it, and I learned a lot from it. But I think what had happened to me was that I ended up getting into a bad spot in my life, and I was looking for answers, and I just didn't find them where I was. It was easy for me to neglect the people around me because I was upset with myself and my own performance. I wasn't performing how I wanted to. And a lot of it had to do with lack of knowledge of the space I was in, a lack of communication between the people I was working with, and what was happening with me in my own personal life. And it came crashing down. It was a moment that I look back on with a little bit of sadness because for all of the potential that we had with what we were doing as a group, it fell through in part, mostly because I feel me. Um, I feel like it was a part of myself that I was missing, and I wasn't willing to share or work through it with the group. And I hold myself to higher standards now when doing things like this because, well, that's just where I ended up. I ended up coming to the conclusion that this is what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to record, I wanted to tell stories, I wanted to share my experiences with my friends and audience members or whoever. I just wanted I wanted to tell people stories and entertain them at the end of the day. And before I wasn't able to define that, now I am. And I reached a point in my life before I started doing this again where I was burnt out. I was tired. I was tired of trying to achieve something but just never really making the mark. Putting my hands to something but then flaking out at the last minute because of my mind. There was a part of my time where I was going through grief. I had lost my grandfather, the man who actually helped raise me when I was younger and had instilled in me a mindset to take your time with life and to enjoy the moments that are presented in front of you. And that got diluted after he had passed with me because the only thing I could see was I have to be better. I have to be better. I can't let my life just plateau. But I was coming to those conclusions without actually having the mindset to learn anything. I was just burning the candle at both ends, trying to make something stick to a board that wasn't accepting anything sticking to it. I guess this I guess that's a good way to put it. I don't know. In either case, today's podcast is about reflection and why I choose to move forward in the way that I am now. All right, I hope to see you up here. Okay, let's talk about the backroom crew. And more specifically, what went right with the backroom crew? A lot did. We met as a couple of friends at a Walmart where we enjoyed, talking about anime and games and other cultural stuff at the time. And it was fun. It was just a means for us to enjoy our time together. We all had similar tastes and we came from different backgrounds and stuff, but at the end of the day, we were just able to get our points across, and I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like anything was. I didn't feel uncomfortable being around them, even though they didn't hold true to my Christian upbringing. Like we spent a lot of time just enjoying conversation outside of groups, outside of like political alignments and religious beliefs and all of that. Like we held ourselves to a plateau of cultural indulgence. I guess that's a good way to put it. I don't know. Anyway, it was fun for me. And in those moments, I really felt like we were more than just friends, and I put the term brothers and sister, like I guess I put a lot on those terms. Like I thought of them as family. I really did. I thought of them as family. We got really close together. We started hanging out a lot. Like they were literally like we would record stuff in my places, like where I was staying at, and I just loved it. Like we would just come over and just figure things out, doing live streams and enjoying each other's time, and it was fun, and it was just something that as an experience looking back on, it was just great. I can't say anything else about it. Yeah, things could have definitely been better with content. That's like, oh man, I'm just thinking about it now. Like a lot of the stuff that we were recording and stuff just seemed so cheesy, and it wasn't the best quality because we didn't have the best money for the quality, and we didn't know a lot. We could have rented equipment and we could have set up a whole business around it and done affiliate marketing and got more, got things rolling that way. But it was for what it was. It was organic and it was ours. Like we did our thing in it. We valued each other's time and each other's energy, and we put out the best content that we could at the time. And we were working with a lot of big names in our area. We had a lot of different things going on with like gaming events and anime conventions, and we were just always trying to push the envelope to do bigger things. Got a couple of interviews, with some popular people, and we were really about it in that sense. But it ended up where we might have overshot what it was that we were doing. Like we needed to get a bit more cohesion with the group and figure out exactly what it was that we were working towards, because as a group that's important. And just knowing like, okay, the consistency, the what are we putting out there, what are we doing as far as the different forms of content, who wants to do what. And it began to we began to have moments where it felt like we were scattered. And I say that, I don't say that lightly, because whenever you start doing content for people, you have to make sure that you're all on the same page. And at least for me, I can't speak for the rest of the group, but for me, I felt that we weren't on the same page. I felt like we were at a point where some wanted one thing and others wanted another thing, and we weren't able to meet in the middle. And I think that's where things started to really fall apart. So it ended, and it ended in a way that I did not like. And part of it had to do with my own personal life. At the time, I was spending a lot more time just trying to figure out my place in my family, and our family business, which I mentioned before is janitorial. I was trying to make sense of the past that I came up in, and trying to come to terms with everything with my dad, and it was a lot because I didn't have the best childhood, but I definitely have the best dad who came through and got himself together to help us out in the end, built our own company up, just him and my mom, and I respect them for that. But there was a time, especially at this moment in my life, where I didn't know where I belonged. I just legit felt that I didn't. And I tried to make things work a lot more with the backroom crew, in the sense that I began overreaching. Does that make sense? I started overreaching what it was that we were after, trying to, again, as a couple of the group members would say, I started trying to focus on being, what did it say, Fancy Feast or something, like Mr. Fancy Feast, or just trying to be fancy with it, trying to do more, trying to do the most. I was trying to do the most, and it ended up catching up to me in the end, in the worst way possible. I had a lot of emotional puzzle pieces missing. It's been split between responsibilities and goals for a long time in my mind, and I had to reprioritize what it was I was more interested in and how I was going to build my life. In the last episode, I was talking about the 4 areas of your life that I had came to understand, and I began building myself up off of that framework after losing my grandfather, and having to deal with grief and coming to terms and coping with loss. It's difficult when you put so much energy into a person and they leave. But rather, to look at it in a different way, it's difficult when a person puts so much in you and you hold them into such a high esteem in your life, and they help you out with all of your stresses and all of your worries, and then they leave, and then you're just left holding the bag. It's baggage. And it did something to me at that point. And I had to really build myself up. But my ultimate, the reason I'm mentioning all of this, is just because I'm at a point now where I'm accepting what happened, and I'm willing to move forward with my life. And with all of the things that I've been given recently, with a wife and the kids, and leadership position in the church, and continuing to work with my family's business and all of that, it's just been an emotional roller coaster for me, even though I don't really show it. I've been feeling like it's either I do now or I'll never do again. It's either I record my podcast now, record audio dramas now. It's I either do script writing and get into what it is that I actually want to do right now, or that's it, I'm done. And I asked myself, I looked myself in the mirror and said, so what is it that you want, Wesley? Is this it? Is it just money? Is it just, you want to just have time to play games, or you want to just have time to go play with your kids and your wife, or what is it? What is it that you want? And I came to the conclusion that I wanted this. I wanted to record. I wanted to put my work out, and I just have to go and do it. I don't have any other excuses or reasons why I can't do it. So now's just the time to get my butt up and do it. I looked this up. I suffered from burnout. And I came to that by looking up this resource. It's a article online from mindtools.com. talking about recovering from burnout. And I think I came across this. Um, I was listening to a psychiatrist on YouTube. I think her name is Tracy. I'll link her channel in the description of the show notes, or wherever. You'll see it. That, and I'll link mindtools.com where I looked it up. But I was burnt out after a while of trying to come up with ideas of what to do as far as content. Like, where do I start? And my brain was just like on fire. Like, I had so many different ideas, but it just felt like I did not have the ability to get out here and do this stuff. And so, I took some time after reading the article to just really assess what it was I was really after. Like, I was tired. I felt tired. I wanted to achieve, but I was looking at everything after leaving the crew, after leaving the backroom crew, and after everything fell apart. I was looking at myself like, okay, I'm not getting any younger here, and I still haven't put out anything except for one short film that I didn't even have a full hand in. I just wrote it, and I felt like that wasn't enough for me. So, I just got back on it. I'm here now. I'm recording, and for now, it's looking like this is working out. There's going to be some issues, especially seeing stuff I'm recording in my car. And I'm pretty sure you've heard like a bunch of noises and stuff going on in the background, maybe. I'm hoping that I can edit most of that out. But if you hear like a car door shut or somebody yelling from like far off, just know that I'm doing the best I can to do this so that I can finally get into a studio one day and actually do this in a legit setting. But for now, I think that I think that the fear of missing out has been real for me. Like, it has been one of the cruxes of everything that I've been fighting for to not feel like. Fear of missing out has put me in a position to where, in the past, I felt as though nothing I did was enough for myself or anyone around me. I had to just burn the trail. I had to hurry up, get to this level of success, do all of this stuff, no ifs, ands, or buts. And it's because of that, I feel that I ended up causing the most damage to the people around me, especially my friends. In my anger, I lashed out in a way that I shouldn't have. And I feel like, you just coming from me personally, I feel like that's okay. Not to attack people, but to express your emotions. I just should have found a better way to do it. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I needed to express how I felt. I needed to express that I was afraid. I needed to express that, I felt as though I was wasting away in a sea of, what's the word? Mediocrity. I felt like it just wasn't enough. I was looking at, so many people go from making videos using their webcams to, just being a huge influencers in the space. I'm just like, well, what am I missing? What am I not doing right? Why am I wrong? Like, what is it that I'm not doing? And I realized what I wasn't doing was I wasn't adding value to the space I was trying to be in. I was just complaining. And that's it. I was complaining. There was no other answer I needed other than the fact that everything that I had wanted to have was right in front of me. Everything that I was trying to achieve was there. There was a guy, and I'll never forget this. And it's just one of those things that kind of almost makes me cry. Like, I'm not a guy that cries, but every time I think about this, I'm just like, man, I was there. Like, we had went to a convention one time, and we were, we had just started out for the most part, but we set our podcast stuff up in the main lobby of one of our conventions, and this guy comes up and he's just like, yo, you guys are doing this, you guys are cool, like, are you guys hiring, or do you guys need any assistance? He was so excited, and we just blew him off. I blew him off. Like, I was just like, oh, nah, it's, we're just small, it's nothing like that, it's no big deal, man. We're just doing this or that or whatever. We canceled one of our biggest fans before they could become a fan of ours. I did that. I looked at that kid and I told him that what we were doing wasn't a big deal. like what we were doing was not like something that he should be interested in like that. He should just go play off somewhere, go get lost in some anime talk or whatever. Leave us alone. We're just here because I was made to be here, or I didn't have a choice but to be here. That's just stupid. In that moment, that was the worst part for me. Like, I was like, retrospect 2020, whatever. I was looking at that guy and, I just told him that what we were doing was not good content, basically. You should not waste your time with us. And I don't like that I did that. And it's one of those things, like, if you're ever just sitting up at night and you're just like looking at the ceiling wondering, like, why am I doing this? Why am I not here? It's because when we do things like that, when we tell people not to be excited about what we're doing, when we don't invite them in some way, somehow, to be a part of what we're doing, so that they can get excited and tell their friends about the experience that they had working with the group that they decided to walk up to and decide to follow because they were super excited that, yeah, one of our local guys is doing this. Those moments like that, that's the stuff that keeps us in that mindset of missing out. Because we are missing out. Because we don't feel like our stuff is good enough. Well, our stuff is good enough. Just telling you now. If I think over the last couple of years, from 2020 or even 2019, like, look at the content that most of these cats were putting out before and the content that they're putting out now. As long as you got a phone and you can record yourself in your bathroom, you can become a multi-million view success overnight, just putting something out there. And sure, having some education in the space, being able to like, oh snap, yeah, I went to acting school for this, or I got a vocal coach for that. Obviously I don't have a vocal coach. I can't even say vocal coach, right? Anyway, what I mean is, it's one of those moments where even now, like, if you're listening to me right now, I want you to understand that you have to put value into what you're doing yourself. And when you do that, and when you feel passionate about what you do, and when you can just do it without, feeling ashamed or doing whatever else or whatever, those are the moments when you're like, when people are like, okay, I want to get behind this guy. When you're enjoying yourself, I want to get behind this guy. When you just feel like you have to be there and you don't really want to do these beginning parts, you don't really want to record yourself or listen to yourself talk over the radio or talk over a podcast or talk through your phone or whatever. You don't really want to do it, then you shouldn't be doing it. Plain and simple. Wait until you get to a point in your life where you're actually enjoying what you're doing before venturing out and doing the most with it. Because if you just give in to feeling like that, I'm probably dancing around this in circles, but it was just on me to say it. Like, if it's just on you to want to do something, you'll do it. Just don't feel ashamed when you do it. You might not sound the best in the beginning, but just do it. People might look at you weird when you're sitting in your car at the job talking into a mic, and they're like walking past like, here he goes. Here's some other guy trying to do something bigger with his life. Here's this janitor guy. He's just whatever. Just do it. Forget that noise. And when you do it, and when people actually start giving you the attention you want, don't act like it's just nothing. It's something. You put your all into it. Just like what I'm doing now. Like I said, I'm in my car. People looking at me weird. That's fine. But put your all into it. Share these experiences. Let people feel like this is something that's actually worth investing in. This is something worth my time. I'll give you a little bit of my time. If somebody sends you a message, thank you. Somebody doesn't send you a message, cool. Keep doing what you do, but don't overlook the people who are actually looking at you. Enjoy those moments when you find them. Like the cat that came up to us that one time. Like, I didn't enjoy my life at that moment. I wish I would have had something for him, and I didn't. I think that it's best not to get wrapped up in the success of others. We look at social media all the time. These guys made it, and we want to be like them. We want the millions of views. We want the lifestyles, like the big stuff. But we forget that they started out just like how I started out. Like how you'll start out. Like how anyone else in this world starts out. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter if you got $1 million advance for a project so that you could do it and then give the money back to your investors later. It doesn't matter if you just have a microphone and you're in your closet at your apartment. As long as you do it and you enjoy it. I think that's the biggest point I'm trying to get to. It's like, if you just go out here and put your all into a project, it doesn't have to be artistic. It's just whatever. Like if this is what you want to do, and it's a positive influence on society, let's not get that mixed up, then go out and do it and enjoy yourself. Don't just look at yourself and think that you're not worth it or you're not interesting, because that's how I thought, especially after I lost my family, and even through COVID and all of that. Like I was still losing family members, and there was just moments where I just felt like, why am I still here? I don't get it. Like, why wasn't I one of the ones that you read about, as far as one of those numbers of COVID patients that just died? I had COVID, actually. I don't know if I mentioned that. Probably did. But I was asymptomatic. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't even feel it. I literally went, like, my wife made me go to the hospital to get checked out because all of the patient first in the area, they didn't have the, they had the test, but they were only taking a certain amount of people at the time. But she wanted me to get the test because she didn't want me around the kids for obvious reasons with COVID. So I went and I got tested and I had COVID. But I didn't know that. I was just thinking that I was cool, like, just the sniffles. And that's all I got the whole ride. The sniffles and maybe like a little itch in the back of my throat. And I was thinking about it too. I was like, for everything that I heard about these cats, like laying up in the hospital, needing ventilators. I worked at a hospital, like did janitorial work in a hospital. I was walking past those guys all the time, watching them, like, watching people go in and out of those COVID rooms, especially with the doctors and everything. That, like, having to scrub up and then scrub down and all this stuff. It was crazy. But I didn't have to go through any of it. All that to say, you're worth it. You're interesting. Whatever you put your hand to, go out and you do it. And you do it to the best of your ability. I learned from my mistakes in the past. I learned from the backroom crew. I enjoyed my time with the backroom crew. But things just didn't work out. And here I am. I'm here. I'm able to move forward. And I'm okay with that. I have something that I have to do, and I'm going to do it. And when the good Lord says that that's it, it's time to come home, Wesley, I'm just going to go on home, and it's just going to be the end of it. But at least while I'm here, I can do what's been put on my heart to do. And I'm just going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to be happy with it. And I just hope that you're along for the ride. As I mentioned before, I learned a lot over the last couple of years, and some of the sources that I got my information from did come from like online articles. I'm gonna share one. That's the one I was talking about with Mind Tools. Another one came from audiobooks. Like I ended up listening to Audible, and then this isn't a sponsor. Man, it'd be so good if I got sponsored by Audible to do this stuff. Like, yo, it's gonna be on a whole different level. Anyway, I like Audible. I love Audible. Audible is one of those things that is one of those platforms that you get on when you just want to work and listen and learn at the same time. Like as I'm working or going through these buildings and doing these cleaning these bathrooms and stuff like that, I have an audio book going on. I'm listening to my work. I'm just basically learning as I work and taking the information that I get and applying things to my life. Like I got a lot of self-help books, so I love that stuff. And if you're interested in that, definitely check out Audible. It's been a really good resource for me, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Can't wait to say, and tell them Wesley sent you. But we'll get to that point when we get there. Also, a lot of the non-believers in here will probably kind of roll their eyes at this, but I actually started studying the Bible. I got with my pastor, which is my daddy. We'll talk more about my family structure in probably a later podcast or something. But for him being my pastor, he's helped me understand the Word of God a lot better than I would say any other pastor that we've had before. He became my pastor. Just a little short quip about it. As he continued his journey in becoming a pastor, he went from church to church, just being led by the Spirit. And as he went, he got, he was learning, he was going to school, he got his doctorate degree in biblical wisdom. And from there, he's been pastoring our church. And he's been just teaching all of us. And it's a difference in just having someone preach to you about the word. It's another to have someone come and teach you the word. And this, being taught, I've always, been a person who enjoys a school setting. I think that's the best when it comes to studying the Bible. But, if it's not your thing, that's fine. But just knowing about how, we are supposed to conduct ourselves as believers and the lessons that the Bible holds, for us and how we should be living our lives, that's the biggest takeaway. It's how we live our life. And when we live our life according to the scripture, things get better. And they have for me, I have to say that. But, it could be, however you want to take it. The best thing to do is to get into a Bible study lesson. If you're interested in learning more about the Word of God, find a church, preferably non-denominational, and then maybe we'll have a Twitter discussion about denominations. Twitter's like the one place you can jump into, like for just getting into battlegrounds. It's like a not so fun version of Fortnite. Anyway, I say preferably non-denominational. Get into the word, whenever a Bible study is, go to a Bible study session and just start learning the word. And you'll see it'll get, the mysticism starts to evaporate once you know exactly what you're talking about when you start bringing up the Word of God. But enough of that for now. But that's just me. However you find your success, just know that you have to learn before you start putting things into action. And that's that's one of the main life lessons that I've learned. Funny putting it that way. But you have to learn before you crawl, I guess. Is that a good way to put it? I don't know. You be the judge of it. All right, y'all. So in conclusion, I know I ramble, I go on, but I don't want you to think that I put the blame on anyone but myself. Whenever it comes to anything pertaining to my life, I blame myself, and it's only because I'm only in control of myself. What I do with my time, what I do with my energy, what I do with my money, what I do with my mind, whatever, it's all on me. Because at the end of the day, that's how I have to look at it. And that's how you should look at it. If any situation that you're in right now, look at it as no one else is going to do it for you. You have to get up and you have to do it yourself. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Get up, do it, and get it done so that at the end of the day, you can say without a shadow of a doubt that you gave it your all. Whatever happens. It doesn't matter if, something in the world happens, or one of your, like if your spouse says something about you, or gets on your nerve, whatever. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is, as long as you do what you can do and wash your hands of it. That's the most important part. Yeah, I went through my journeys in the past with, my friends, and we ultimately came to a crossroad, and I took one way and they took the other. And I don't blame them for that. I don't blame anyone but myself for that. And it's because I blame myself and I accept what happened that I'm able to move on. And I think that's the biggest part. Move on. Move on and do whatever it is that you want to do. I am. If you're ever feeling like you need some inspiration, don't just jump on social media and fall into a rabbit hole. Getting into other people's drama is not healthy. It was not healthy for me, and it's definitely not going to be healthy for the creative process. I'm gonna just let you know now, it's not. Put things out and just let it be what it is. The best way to get over, any self-loathing or any self-doubt, or any writer's block or any type of block at all, do what I do. I go out and I take a minute to myself and I assess what it is I'm trying to do in all aspects of my life. Those 4 areas I talked about in my last show. Find out what it is that you want to achieve. Write it out as a goal. Write it out. Don't just say it. Write it out. And go do it. Start with short-term goals and move forward with that. Small incremental steps to achieve big goals. For me, it was working up the courage to get this set up and to start making recordings in my car. I mean, from here, I don't know where that's going to take me. I mean, I could still just be doing this for the next 20 years and be just in the same place. But even taking this step has drastically changed my outlook on life. And I think that it'll be good for you too. So just prioritize and take it one day at a time. Remember that it's just best to be proactive. You have to be able to go out and achieve the things that you want to achieve and get stuff done in a manner to where you're not feeling like you missed out at the end of the day. Don't let FOMO rule you. Go out and just do something. Do anything that you can do. Take a picture of some birds or something that's close to what it is that you're trying to achieve and just achieve it. Make those goals, those visions, and those dreams come true by making little small incremental changes into your structure as it is right now. And you'll see that as you continue to do so, and you continue to optimize, and you continue to make more time for yourself, you'll see those returns come in droves. I'm telling you, in droves. Okay, so coming up, I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. We're going to have our short stories. I'm going to start putting some of my work up here as far as talking about the scripts that I've written and actually finishing a project. I would like to continue these things on as their own little separate things, but as far as the podcast is concerned, like let's just keep the consistency with this going, and we'll see what happens from there. And I'll also bring up my plans on how I'm going to become more of a professional writer and start working with production agencies, and maybe even build my own production company for some of my own projects other than the audio dramas. I'm talking about visual mediums, but as far as the audio stuff is concerned, I think I'm pretty good with that in terms of my plans for doing it. The audio dramas are still coming. I just have to get the infrastructure and the timing right, but we'll figure that out in a minute. Just stick with me and we'll see what happens. And I'm happy and excited. I hope you are too. This isn't really a sponsorship deal, but I would like to make mention, as kind of like an honorary mention. Kelly Krause over at Nick's Horror has been an inspiration to me for just getting back into doing things like this and to put myself back out there as a writer and as a performer, just a personality in general. Her group, she put me in her group on Twitter, and she's been sending me monthly emails about little workshops and stuff that we in her group, we're all a part of. We're learning a lot about different things. Like this last one that we did was for line budgets for short films and stuff like that, or just small budget films. It was really cool, and I'm really learning a lot under her tutelage, and I'm just excited about everything that she's doing. So if you're on Twitter and you hear about Kelly Krause, or you want to look her up, definitely give her a look, and you'll see she's an awesome person, I think. And she's over there at Nick's Horror. I think her website is Nick's Horror, NYX horror.com. All right, y'all. So that's going to do it for me. I'll definitely catch you guys next time. I'm going to keep these recordings going. I record 3 times a week, but I'm going to start posting them soon, just every other day. So it'll probably be like on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday kind of release, or it might be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So just bear with me as I continue to get the structure together. I think that it's going to work out pretty well. I'm going to definitely work on my uploading. And yeah, if you have any comments, or you want to help me out by giving me some feedback, definitely do so. I appreciate everything that my audience does for me. I don't have much of an audience right now, but my plans for growth I'm pretty sure that my numbers are going to rise. I don't have a big audience right now, but I'm not worried about that, like I said before. I'm definitely just interested in putting up content. So if you want to stick around for the ride, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. All right, later.